Hey guys, happy Tuesday afternoon. So I got my little one here, my dog instead of my cat today for our video because we have a thunderstorm going on and she shakes like a leaf. So she's demonstrating her awesome little thunder shirt, which does help some, but she really prefers to just be in mommy's arms and mommy holding her through the thunderstorm. Yeah, don't you, baby? So today I want to talk about how to properly switch your pet's food. This is something that is always an issue and something I'm always asked about, is how to switch their pet's food, or if someone's talking with me about different health issues going on with their pet and it's allergy related and there needs to be a food switch. One of the big factors is how to do that properly. So there's a couple different things to consider. If you're trying to switch from a certain type of food to a different type of food, like a dry food diet to a canned food diet, then it may take a bit more time. You're going to want to try to go more slowly, versus if you're already feeding like a canned food diet and you're just going to try a different brand of canned food, you can go a little bit more quickly. Another big thing is a lot of people are trying to go switch their cat or their pet from a dry food diet to a raw food diet, and that's the most challenging switch, and it's going to potentially take a bit of time. You need to expect it could take upwards to like a month to get your pet transitioned over. So if you're currently dry feeding your pet kibble, especially if you're doing what's called free feeding, which is just and mostly this happens more with cats, because dogs, unless it's a small breed dog like this, tend to just gobble down their food so fast that wouldn't be an option anyway. But for a lot of people with cats, they may be in a place where they're just leaving a bowl of food with dry food all day, and that's called free feeding dry food. And that is unfortunately the worst feeding habit that you can have. That is the least healthy way you could be feeding your pet. So if ever anybody's in that situation and they're ready to make a change for their pet's health, they need to transition their pet to a different way of feeding. So if that's where you are and that's where you're starting, what you need to do is you need to first of all pick up that bowl of dry food and don't put it back down. You're going to then just train your cat to having 2 feedings a day, morning and night. The only time that cats would need more than 2 feedings is if it's a situation where they're severely ill with something, or they're a very young kitten, or maybe a very older pet that's having digestive issues or whatnot. But typically, even for us in the cattery, as soon as our kittens are of weaning age, by 10 weeks, they're off their mom, they're not nursing anymore, and they get 2 meals a day. That's it. That's all they need. In the wild, in nature, a cat may actually only eat once a day. Some days it might not have been lucky to catch anything and it didn't get to eat at all that day. But their bodies are really made to just eat 1 or 2 big meals a day. They eat, a lot. They'll eat in nature, they would catch their prey and they would eat the whole thing and then give themselves till that night or later the day, whatever, when they catch something else, to digest. It gives their bodies time to digest that food. It could take 3 to 4 hours to digest a meal, and then they'll eat again later. So That's part of the point against the free feeding dry food is, cats' bodies, they're not cows or grazing animals. They're not meant to just sit there and just pick at that dry food and graze all day, because then they're keeping their digestive tract too busy, constantly under stress and work, digesting food, and it doesn't allow the body to do the other processes that it needs to do for them to be healthy. So, pick up that bowl of dry food and start feeding your cat the same dry food just twice a day, morning and night, and just feed, the recommended amount that they need to have enough nutrients morning and night, and that would be the first step. And, I guess I'll take this through all the steps from beginning to end, so that wherever any of you are in the point, it'll fit with what you're doing. Excuse me. No, ma'am. Anyway, okay, so you went from free feeding dry food to dry food meals twice a day. Now the next step will be to introduce canned food, because a dry food diet even twice a day is not the diet you want your cat on, even your dog. It's far worse for cats than it is for dogs, but it is still not a good diet for a dog either. Just, I wish that dry food didn't exist on the planet. That'll be a whole nother video though, but it just hurts my heart. There's so many pets that end up suffering because of just, poor food that's not meant for their bodies. But anyway, so you're going to transition from dry food to canned food now. So with that, you have a couple options. You can try to do, primarily it works best to do the first meal of the day with the new food, but every animal's different, so you'll have to try and see what works. But what you could do is try the morning meal, the canned food, and then if they eat it, great. If they don't, that's okay. Don't give in. Just go back to dry food at night. And then the next morning, canned food again. If they don't eat it, fine, dry food at night. Usually by the third day, they're going to be giving in. They're like, okay, I'm hungry in the morning. I'm going to start eating this. Like I said, you could switch that around and try dry food in the morning. Just a small amount so that they're good and hungry at night, and then put the canned food down at night. And typically it only takes a few days and they're starting to get this. So as long as they're getting that and that's working within the period of a week, what you'll start doing is making that dry food meal smaller and smaller and add canned food to it. And slowly they'll get adjusted to where you're just doing canned food morning, canned food night. Especially with the canned and the dry, it's okay to mix them. So it's a good idea to, when you're serving that first canned food meal, go ahead and put a few sprinkles of the dry food on it. It's what they're used to eating. They like the dry food. It entices them to start eating that. So that would be how you would slowly transition from dry to canned food. Now, the last transition would be if you want to go to a frozen raw food diet, or even a freeze-dried diet. A freeze-dried raw diet is usually very easy, especially if you've already been feeding a canned food diet, because it is just very, what's the word? It's usually very strong smelling to them, so it's very appetizing and has just a really great taste. They really go to freeze-dried raw very well. And sometimes people have to use that as a transition between canned food to frozen raw food. A lot of times I don't recommend a freeze-dried raw diet long-term, because it's freeze-dried, number one. All the moisture's been removed, and cats really need moisture. A lot of moisture. They don't drink a lot of water very well. Number two, it is ridiculously expensive, so most people can't afford that and sustain that long-term. Whereas the frozen raw diet is a lot more affordable and sustainable in your household. So when you're switching from a dry or canned to a frozen raw food diet, you got to be a little bit more particular about the step. And like I said, usually don't ever try to go from a dry food diet to a frozen raw diet. It's typically not going to happen. The cat is not going to adjust from one extreme to the other. It's like asking your kids that you've normally always fed chicken nuggets and french fries to suddenly eating plain grilled chicken with broccoli and nothing on it. You know, it's just not going to seem as tasty to them because it's healthy and it's everything their body needs, and we've spoiled them with their chicken nuggets and fries over here, which is the dry food. So the switch usually doesn't work very well. So just go that mediary step from the dry food to the canned to the frozen raw. The difference is with frozen raw food, you don't ever want to mix any other food with it. Frozen raw food needs to just be eaten by itself because it will go into their system and it will digest very quickly. It will digest quicker than cooked food. And canned food and dry food are cooked foods. The raw food will only take like an hour to 2 hours to digest, and the cooked food will take 3 to 4 hours. So what happens if you try to make this switch and you're feeding, now I'm getting both hands going here, you're feeding a canned food diet and you're trying to go to a frozen raw diet, and you decide, well, you know, I'll just mix them together to serve to my kitty, so he starts eating it. Now what you're doing is you're putting frozen raw food in with cooked food, and you're making the raw not be able to digest as quickly because it's all going in together, and the raw food's sitting in their stomach far too long because it's plugged up by the digestive process it takes on the cooked food. It takes far longer to digest the cooked food, and that allows the raw to, you know, potentially become rancid in the stomach, and you know, just cuts down on the stomach acid and everything that they need to keep that raw food meal safe. So to keep a raw food meal safe and effective, it needs to be eaten alone. So it goes in, it's digested quickly and completely out of the stomach and moving along. So that being said, you're ready to go from your canned food diet to your raw food diet. You want to make sure you're not mixing the food, but you want to do the same thing as before. Feed a small meal of the canned in the morning and the raw food, the frozen raw food at night. Or meal of the frozen raw food in the morning and then a small meal of canned food at night. And you want to just keep doing that. And as long as they're eating their canned food meal, as long as they're getting enough, you can just slowly make the canned food meal smaller until at which point they start actually eating the raw food meal. You know, again, usually it only takes 3 to 4 days. So, you know, some cats are great. They take to it right away. You'll serve them that frozen raw meal. They'll eat it right up and you're great. Other times we've had cats that are a lot more stubborn and it takes a process. But as long as your cat is eating at least that one meal a day, then you're good. But don't ever let your cat not eat at all for more than a day. If it's been 24 hours and they haven't eaten at all, you know, and you're trying to just force the frozen raw food too quickly, don't do that. Go back to what they were eating. Make sure they're at least eating that one meal a day, because unlike dogs usually will not starve themselves out to the point of illness, but cats will. Cats are excessively stubborn and they will just like not eat if they don't want to eat it. So again, if they're being really stubborn with it, you can try the freeze-dried raw in the interim and to switch from the canned to the frozen raw. Or another thing you can do for a short period of time, yeah, baby, you don't want to do this long-term because the frozen raw food has everything it needs in its whole source to give your cat all the nutrition they need frozen or raw. Let me say raw instead of frozen because it's thawed by the time you feed it. But because it's raw, it has all the nutrients it needs. If you cook it, then suddenly it doesn't have the minerals or vitamins or the enzymes, the things that it needs that makes it such a great meal in its raw form. It denatures it. But for a short period of time, for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, what you can do is you can warm up the frozen raw food. Like if you're feeding a patty, just put it in a pan with a little bit of water, put it on low, just like, you know, how you would cook a hamburger in a pan. But with water actually helps it kind of steam and it doesn't denature it as much. and just warm it a little bit before serving. And after a while, what you'll find, hopefully, is you can warm it less and less and less and less, and your cat will eat it, until which point you got it easy and you got it made like I do with Stubborn. I just take it right out of the refrigerator, cold from the refrigerator, put it on the plate, give it, he eats it all up in 5 minutes. And that's another last point, is when you're doing these switches of food, whether it be the canned food or the raw food, anything they don't eat within 5 minutes, you want to put back into a container, sealed container, and put back in the refrigerator. Don't waste all these meals. You don't need to waste these meals unless it's been 3 days. Like the frozen raw is not good anymore once it's been thawed for 3 days, just like you would with any other frozen raw meat. And the canned food as well, it's probably still okay after 3 days, but it starts to get funky and they're not going to eat it like that. Anyway, but don't waste those meals when you put it down, and if they don't eat it, just put it back up. Especially with the raw, you want to use a stainless steel container or a glass container, and you want to make sure you're only feeding, sorry, am I disrupting you? You're only feeding their food on ceramic plates or stainless steel plates or glass plates. Don't ever use plastics, especially with the raw, but plastic plates and bowls just aren't a good idea overall, because the plastics can break down over time into the food and they can harbor bacteria in the plates. So hopefully I covered everything, and that will help a lot of you figure out how to change your pet's food if you've been wanting to or needing to make a change. So, all right, keep those pets healthy and happy, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.